Hey, Zach, Jake, and special guest Big John, Momo.
Hey, yo.
For Dirt Road Men. Almost said whiskey, tobacco, and firearms. I'll get it right eventually. But we're here for another whiskey review video, and this time we're reviewing the flagship American bourbon.
Yeah.
Jim Beam whiskey.
Accurate statement.
Also, like the cheapest. That was like $20, and that's a liter.
That is a liter for $20.
But yeah, so John, Momo, you want to introduce yourself?
Momo. That's about it. That's all you need to know.
He just rolled in here. We have no clue who this man is. No.
Some Sasquatch-looking fella walking in here.
Yeah, you're 6 foot what now?
6'6".
Yeah.
Wait, 245.
Kind of broad in the shoulder and at the hip.
Yeah. They wrote a song about him called Big John. Even though it was written before he was born.
About him.
It was a prophecy. I met him in first grade. You met him in third when you came here, when we met him. But yeah, he's guesting for all the videos we're filming today. He actually helped come up with some of the ideas to start this page and everything, and he's even helped with product ideas, and he may end up welding us some products together, fabricating some stuff. He has volunteered some of those services.
Yes, sir. Anytime, any place, anywhere.
I just had an idea. I'm gonna let that go. Anyway,
Maybe later.
so on to our actual review of Jim Beam Bourbon. We had some feedback last week, I guess I'm backstepping again. Kind of dropped the ball last week. We maybe had a little bit too much of our Bushmills before we started filming our videos. We kind of failed on our cigar review to actually review the cigar, and on Bushmills we didn't quite have all of our knowledge handy. We received feedback from multiple people on that, and we have stepped it up this week. Our bad. We also didn't drink all of the bottle today, so that helps. Yeah. But so for Jim Beam Bourbon, do you want to give them the history of the Beam family?
Yeah. Beam family came over from Germany in the mid to late 1700s. They were the Boehm. Funny spelling, not sure. But they changed their name to Beam. And in the late 1700s, Johannes Reginald Beam, he was a farmer, began producing whiskey the way which we now know as bourbon. And then Jacob Beam, or Johannes Jacob Beam, sold his first barrels in 1795. It was Jake Beam Sour Mash under the Old Tub Distillery. Then they moved around a little bit until Prohibition. Then they stopped altogether. Then in 1933, James B. Beam rebuilt the distillery. In 1933, I said 33.
Yeah, you already said that, but that's cool.
In Claremont, Kentucky, where it's at today. And in 1935, it officially got the name of the James B. Beam Distilling Company. And there's some buying and selling and other companies going under, and they got like Old Crow and
they make a lot of. They even make some higher end ones like Booker's.
Yep,
which they kind of made higher end by, what was it, cutting off half the supply and then doubling the price?
Well, the thing is with the Bookers is that was like their first real like small batch whiskey. It was named after Booker No.
Oh, okay.
And he was not this master distiller, but the one before him.
Okay.
And now it's Fred No.
Okay.
Which I think is his son. And that was like his special blend. And
Gotcha.
I think what happened when the price went up was probably when he passed away.
Gotcha.
But there's been 7 generations of Beam master distillers, and
They're all on the sides of, I believe, every white label bottle also.
Yes. And then in 2014, the Beam Incorporated was bought by Centauri Holdings, and now it's Beam Centauri. It's still made in Claremont, Kentucky. And
Kind of like Budweiser got bought, but most of it's still made in Missouri.
I think all of the Budweiser is still made in St. Louis.
Yeah.
On neat little August 4th of 2003, they had a fire in one of their aging warehouses, and they destroyed 19,000 barrels of bourbon, and it ran into a nearby creek, setting the creek on fire, killing close to 19,000 fish.
That's quite the fire. Get back in the fiery water!
What the hell would it taste?
I don't know. Fire water. A lot of people like get snobby about Jim Beam whiskey, and honestly, we hadn't tried it since we had started trying a bunch of different bourbons and stuff. But I know. At least Jim Beam bourbon is not your thing so
No.
much, Big John.
Nope.
But it really is a good bourbon. It's not as smooth as like some of the other ones we've tried. It's I mean, it has its weaknesses, but for what it is, for under $20, I don't think you can get a better whiskey, personally.
No. The only other one I can think of that is still right around $20 is the Jim Beam Black Label.
Yeah, which I do usually like. If I'm personally buying it, I tend to go up to like the Black Label or something. There was another like spin-off Jim Beam that I liked too.
The Devil's Cut.
Yes, the Devil's Cut, which we've had some poor experiences with.
But we've also had some really good nights with.
Yeah. But we actually picked this one for two reasons. Partially because we're broke sons of bitches. And
Hey.
we can get away with that. They say it on network television, so we can do it.
All right.
Yeah, we'll be okay.
Sons of
Just
bitches.
don't drop F-bombs. Don't say what Seth would say as chit with CH. Stuff like that. We should be all right. So, when you're kind of tasting this, let's taste it real quick.
First time today.
I've definitely had like 4 sips in this video already. What do you notice? I did that already. I definitely, and I've gotten better at picking out flavors over the last several weeks of videos we've been doing. But I notice, I want to say that's like apple, almost, to it.
Apple. I got kind of caramely.
Yep.
Caramel apples.
Which is a common taste with bourbons.
Yeah.
And of
So
course the wood, the oak.
Which that might be where part of it comes from. The sugars in the barrel when they burn them.
Yeah, makes sense. And
What?
I thought I heard something.
Oh.
Oh yeah, we have Def Seth here as our camera guy again. You gonna say hello?
Howdy.
You can do it. That's great.
Maybe that.
Man, we're having a hard enough time. Oh yeah, I forgot to introduce Steve, as he's back. By popular demand, we were asked to never get rid of him by somebody I work with. And we also have Philip, right?
Yep.
Philip the Pheasant. He's guest starring with Momo today. And then Momo provided some decoration for our budding studio.
It says, "We don't dial 911."
We are planning to shoot our first firearms video here today. But anyway, back on to Jim Beam Bourbon, right? It's not as smooth. It's something that I tend to go for. I mean, it's not smooth.
No, it's like
It's
incredible.
just...
For me, it's a lot smoother than I remember.
It's not as smooth to me as like a Jefferson, or it's about as smooth as Larceny,
Yeah.
but it's not quite as smooth as like Jefferson or Eagle Rare,
Yeah.
which we haven't yet reviewed. because that video also died. I'm telling you, we lost a bunch. We lost Weller, we lost Eagle Rare. I want to say there was something else. And then I lost the Christmas video that I shot, too.
Huh.
I did like an impromptu Christmas video that was just me, and it died. So anyway, I wanted to get into something about bourbon, too, because this is kind of like the most American whiskey, in my opinion. Jack Daniel's being also a very American whiskey. It's Tennessee whiskey, but this is...
Jack Daniel's does legally qualify to be a bourbon.
Right, and that's what I wanted to get into. There are actually, like, legal requirements to become a bourbon, and it's one of the most strict out of, like, any whiskey to qualify as a bourbon. You have to hit, like, 6 or 7 different things. You have to be made in the USA. I used to think it was just made in Kentucky, but anywhere in the USA has to be made on U.S. soil. So it literally is, like, the most American whiskey because it has to be made in the USA.
Yeah.
And has to be at least 51% corn. They have to use, and some people, like dude on the Whiskey Vault, considers this a bad thing, but they have to use brand new charred oak casks. And some other things, it cannot be distilled at more than 160 proof, or it's not a bourbon.
Yeah.
And it has to be at no more than 120 proof when put in for aging, and then bottled at somewhere over north of 80 proof. So, like, any bourbon you get to actually be a bourbon is going to have to be between 80 and 120 proof.
Yep.
Wild Turkey 101 apparently just kind of decided to split that down the middle. Oh, and it has to be aged for a minimum of 2 years, which I thought was 4.
No, yeah, 2 years, and then but most distillers just do 4.
Yeah.
Just
and then of course, like Eagle Rare, their youngest bottle I think is 10 years.
yeah.
But it has to meet all of those requirements to actually be considered a bourbon, and that's I think part of why bourbon is my favorite drink. That and I got most of my original whiskeys from you. And
It's my favorite drink.
yeah, but it's like the most American drink, and Jack Daniel's does qualify as a bourbon. So
Did not know that.
yeah, yep, still made on American soil, and it meets all the other requirements. They just call it Tennessee whiskey.
Okay. So even just the normal everyday Jack Daniels, or is that just a single barrel?
Any of the Jack Daniels.
Any of the Jack
Any of them.
Daniels?
Yep. So you do like bourbon.
There we
You just
go.
have to like the right bourbons. And Jim Beam's not your favorite. I gave him like way more than he wanted because I told him that he had to drink what we drank. Which he'll probably be sipping on that same glass for every video we shoot, and we're probably going to refill between each video.
Yep.
Or sooner. You're already staring at the bottle.
It is.
So another thing that I noticed, I actually wrote down some tasting notes from the other day, and I noticed, other than the bit of a bite, the only thing that I haven't said that I noticed the other day was I picked out like citrus. Like almost orange. But
I could see that.
which taste is subjective, as dude repeatedly says, and everything else I pretty well said. But yeah, I don't think I know anywhere where a bottle of basic, like a fifth of basic white label Jim Beam runs more than $20.
Average is like 17 is kind of up there for.
Yeah, I think their average is 16 nationally. So I think this is a decent starter bourbon. It's a little harsher than some of the other ones we picked. But part of the reason I wanted to do this video, other than it being a flagship, is people kind of get this uppity air about them and say they don't like Jim Beam bourbon, and I think it's completely unqualified. It's complete BS, if you will. Since apparently we have to behave like we got little kids watching the whiskey channel.
I don't know why.
I don't know either.
Where are your parents?
I don't know. My kids probably watched one of our videos, but whatever.
Where you at?
I was right next to him.
Oh.
So But anyway, so that's it for this video. We're gonna have to wrap up, but we'll be back with a couple more. This will probably actually be the third one going up, so this will be the one you're seeing last, but it's the first one we're filming today. Jim Beam Bourbon gets two. Do you give it a glass up, or are you like half a glass up?
I give it a glass up.
We got
3 glasses up
and a beer.
and a beer. All right, Def Seth, hit the button.